The ocean is too quiet tonight. It's what we call a glass sea, not a ripple for miles, just a black mirror reflecting a sky that feels like it's closing in. We were hauling a late shipment of timber through the North Atlantic when the fog rolled in. It wasn't normal fog. It was thick, yellow, and smelled like wet iron. My first mate, Elias, called me to the deck. He didn't say a word, he just pointed. About 300 yards out, a shape was carving through the mist. It was a galleon, massive, with 3 masts that looked like jagged teeth against the moon. But there was no wind. Our sails were bone dry and hanging limp, yet this thing was moving at a terrifying speed, silent as a grave. As it drew closer, the temperature on deck plummeted. I grabbed the binoculars. There was no one at the wheel. The wood of the ship looked charred, as if it had been pulled from a fire and dropped straight into the ice. But the worst part? As it passed us, I didn't hear the sound of water breaking against a hull. I heard whispering, thousands of overlapping voices coming from the water itself. They say if you see the ship's name on the stern, your soul is already claimed. I looked down, just for a second. The wood was blank, but for a heartbeat I saw my own face reflected in the grime of that ghostly hull. It vanished into the fog 5 minutes ago. Now the engine won't start, and the radio is only playing the sound of someone breathing. I don't think we're alone out here anymore. I've been a captain for 40 years, and I've seen things that would make a sane man jump overboard. But tonight I'm locking my cabin door. We were off the coast of the Goodwin Sands, an area known as the Great Ship Swallower. The radar started chirping, a massive blip right in front of us. I screamed for hard to port, expecting a collision with a tanker. Instead, we sailed right into a pocket of freezing air. A ship appeared, glowing with a faint, sickly green luminescence. It was the Lady Lovibond. I knew the silhouette from the old legends. It was supposed to have wrecked here centuries ago, but there it was, pristine and terrifying. I saw figures on the deck. They weren't skeletons or monsters. They looked like normal people, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, frozen in a moment of celebration, a wedding party. Then the music started, a faint, distorted violin melody drifting over the waves. One of the figures, the bride, turned her head. Her neck moved with a sickening wooden crack. She looked directly at me, and her eyes were just empty black holes. She raised a red lantern, and as she did, our own lights flickered and died. The ship vanished into a swell, but the red glow stayed in my vision. Ever since that moment, the compass has been spinning in circles. We're lost in our own waters, and every time I look over the railing, I see that red lantern deep, deep under the surface, following us. If you're reading this log, pray you never see the fog of the dead man's reach. We were 3 days out of port when the electronics went haywire. The GPS showed us in the middle of a forest, hundreds of miles from land. That's when the bells started. Clang, clang, clang. It wasn't coming from my ship. A galleon, tattered and decaying, drifted out of the gray curtain to our starboard side. It looks like the Flying Dutchman, but it wasn't flying. It was sinking. Slowly, perpetually, the bow was submerged, but it never went under. I saw the crew. They were translucent, like smoke held together by sheer will. They were frantically hauling ropes that weren't there, screaming silent warnings at us. One of my deckhands, a young kid named Miller, made the mistake of shouting out to them, asking if they needed help. The moment his voice hit their deck, the ghostly captain turned. He didn't have a face, just a mass of writhing sea worms where his features should have been. The ghost ship didn't hit us, it passed through us. For 10 seconds, the world turned gray. I felt a coldness in my lungs that I can't cough out. When I came to, Miller was gone. No splash, no scream, just his boots left on the deck, filled with seawater. The horizon is empty now, but the ship's bell is still ringing. It's not coming from the mist anymore. It's coming from inside the hull of my own boat. We're next. I can feel it. I found the logbook after my uncle drowned. He'd been a commercial fisherman his entire life, the kind of man who trusted the sea more than people. When the Coast Guard brought his trawler back to harbor, they said it was empty. No signs of a struggle, no damage, just drifting in circles like it had lost its mind. I was the one who cleaned out the cabin. That's when I found the captain's log. The last official entry was dated 3 days after his reported death. The handwriting was unmistakably his, tight, slanted, precise. The entry talked about fog rolling in too fast, unnaturally fast, swallowing the horizon like a wall. Then he wrote about seeing another vessel, a galleon. That alone didn't make sense. No ship like that should exist anymore. He wrote that it had no running lights, no sound, just sails hanging limp as if frozen in time. The water around it didn't move, no waves, no wake. Then came the line that made me stop breathing. She's logging me back. The next entry described him hearing writing sounds, scratching wood, coming from inside his own cabin while he stood on deck. He wrote that when he checked the log again, new lines had appeared before he wrote them, predicting his actions minutes in advance. The final entry was only one sentence. If you're reading this, she found you too. That night, I heard water dripping on my apartment floor. I don't live near the sea. I worked night watch on a cargo ship crossing the North Atlantic. Quiet job, boring, that's why I took it. At 2:17 a.m., radar picked up something massive off our port side. No transponder, no ID. Just there. The fog rolled in seconds later, thick enough to erase the stars. Then the horn sounded. Not ours. It was deep, ancient, like air being forced through a dying animal. Out of the fog came a ship that shouldn't float. Wooden hull, black as rot. Sails torn but somehow full, like they were catching a wind the rest of the ocean couldn't feel. No crew on deck, but I could feel eyes on me. The captain ordered a course correction, but our controls locked. The compass spun wildly, then stopped, pointing directly at the ship. As it passed us, I saw names carved on its hull, hundreds of them. Some were centuries old. One was mine. The fog lifted after it disappeared. Systems came back online. We finished the voyage without incident, but every night since, my phone receives a voicemail at exactly 2:17 a.m. It's just ocean sounds and a foghorn. I was sailing solo. That was my first mistake. The second was trusting the fog. When it rolled in, it felt deliberate, like it was searching. That's when I saw her, a massive galleon drifting across my bow, sails shredded, hull glowing faintly blue like moonlight trapped underwater. She didn't move with the waves, she slid through them. I tried hailing, no response. Then I heard footsteps on my deck. I turned, knife in hand, but no one was there. Behind me, carved into my mast, was a date. Tomorrow's date. That's when I understood. She doesn't kill you, she logs you. I altered course immediately, burning fuel like my life depended on it, because I knew it did. At dawn, the fog vanished. So did the carving. But I still check my boat every morning, because yesterday, carved into my dock, was today's date. My grandfather warned me never to sail on anniversaries. I didn't listen. The night we crossed her path, the sea went silent. No waves, no wind. Even the engine sounded muffled, like it was underwater. Then we saw the ship. She was massive, older than history, covered in barnacles that looked more like bones. Her sails hung like funeral shrouds. A lantern swung from her mast. Inside it was fire. Not light, fire. The captain froze. He whispered a name I didn't recognize. The Northwind veered toward her on its own. As we passed, every man aboard heard something different. Some heard screaming. I heard my mother calling my name. We survived, somehow, but every man who heard a voice died within a year. Accidents, illnesses, disappearances. I'm the only one left. I never heard screaming, just my name, and the sea hasn't finished with me yet.